On February 13, 1984, her stepfather's housekeeper called Virginia Hannon, who was 59 years old, several times to ask for the extra key to her stepfather's house. He didn't hear back, so he went to see how she was since he hadn't seen her in a few days. When he walked into her house, he was shocked to see Virginia dead on her bed, choked to death with a pair of her stockings. Who would kill a woman who is 59 years old? Why would someone kill someone who was known only for being kind and loving? Was it all because of how loving she was? Hello and welcome to our channel. If you are new here, please subscribe and press the bell notification. Let's have a look at the 37-year-old cold case finally solved, Virginia Hannon case. One of the oldest towns in Massachusetts is Pembroke. It is in the greater Boston area, in Plymouth County. Forests near cities provide materials for building, energy, and a place for animals to live. Early on, the town was known for its construction business, which did well because it was close to a river and had easy access to wood. In Malden, Massachusetts, in 1926, Virginia was born to Helen and Thomas Hannon. She was the oldest of 4 brothers and sisters. Paul and Thomas were her brothers, and Barbara was her sister. After she got married, she and her husband moved to Pembroke. They had the perfect life, but then everything changed in a big way. Her husband died in 1971. After that, they left her alone in their lovely little house. Virginia was known by everyone because she was kind and helpful. She took care of and fed many of the stray dogs in her neighborhood. Nobody went hungry under her care. But first, a quick report. Let's thank Athena Interior for making this movie possible. They are skilled interior designers who bring high-quality goods right to our homes. It includes items for the bathroom, kitchen, and home, such as lights, rugs, and artwork. Type in athenainterior.com to see their collection, and boom! You will end up in beautiful and traditional rooms. They have the best collection, and their customer service is skilled and listens to our concerns. Every time someone came to visit her, she gave them lots of drinks, homemade cookies, and other baked treats. She didn't care if they were new or if she knew them already. Virginia was almost ready to retire in late 1983. She had been a cook and lunch lady at Brantville Elementary School in Pembroke for many years. One of the people Virginia cared most about was her dad, who also lived in the area. Every day, she would make his food and bring it to him. But for 2 days in a row in February 1984, noon came and went and Virginia was nowhere to be found. Finally, on February 13th, the maid for her stepfather called her several times before going to her house to check on her and make sure everything was okay. After many failed attempts to get in touch with her, he went to her house just to get an extra key from her. Instead, he found Virginia brutally killed on her bed. The cleaner was so surprised that he couldn't even figure out what to do next. Virginia had many wounds that were easy to see, and her blanket only partly covered her. When the maid started screaming, a few of the neighbors came to see what was going on. When they saw that Virginia was dead, they were shocked, too. Everyone in the community was shocked by Virginia's death, because most of the people who knew her liked her and couldn't picture anyone hurting her. Then, the housekeeper didn't waste any more time and called the cops. Around West Street, people lived in a very quiet area. Even the newest family had been there for more than 10 years. But on that day, there was so much going on that people wondered why the Pembroke police were in their area. People slowly found out that Virginia Hannon, their neighbor, had been found dead in her bed. Even the most experienced police officers were stunned when they walked into the cottage and saw the body. They couldn't believe what they saw because it was so cruel. I think it was the most violent murder in Pembroke's history. One of the Pembroke Police Department officers said, she was attacked, kicked, punched, stabbed, and strangled with a pair of her own stockings. The inspector looked around and saw that the front door and window had been messed with. It probably meant that the killer had broken into the house because Virginia wouldn't let them in. They might have robbed and hurt her because of this. There was also a shoe print on her stomach, which made the cops think that the person who killed her might have kicked her as they did it. Virginia lived on her own, so the cops knew that. So, they talked to her neighbors and close friends before they talked to her family. The neighbors told the cops that there was no reason for anyone to hurt Virginia. The police talked to a lot of people and found that Dolly Smith was the last person to see Virginia living. Virginia and Dolly were best friends for a long time and had been for a long time. Virginia was the last person she had seen on February 11, 1984. Dolly said that it was a Saturday and that she and Virginia were going to church like they always did. Dolly said that she and Virginia had gone to St. Joseph's Church together that night. Virginia's house was about 4 miles from the church, and evening mass always started at 5 o'clock. The two women had gone to BR's restaurant after church, which was a place they often went after church. About 7 miles away from the church was the diner, where they ate dinner before leaving. Dolly dropped Virginia off at her house around 7:30. Dolly was the last person to see Virginia living, other than the person who killed her. Dolly also said that Virginia had trouble getting her breath when she went up the stairs to her house. This was because Virginia had emphysema, which made it hard for her to breathe when she did anything active. Dolly also told the police that Virginia was carrying $100 when she dropped her off, but the money was not in Virginia's pocket on Saturday or Sunday when the police looked for it. Nothing was heard or seen by the people next door. They didn't hear anything strange that would have made them think there was a fight. According to the autopsy, she was killed on Saturday, not long after she got home from church. As the cops kept looking into what had happened, they found out that Virginia's aunt had lived in California before she died. When she died, she left Virginia a huge amount of money, $380,000. After getting this fortune, Virginia was thinking about leaving her job as the cook and lunch lady at the elementary school. Virginia never told everyone about her new wealth, but she did tell a few people. According to her nephew, she wasn't shy about talking about the money she got from her rich aunt. She was very honest, and anyone could ask her questions. She was the type of person who would talk to people she didn't know and tell them about her life. She also kept some of the money at home, but she put the majority of it in the bank. People who knew Virginia well said that the person who killed her may have thought she had money hidden in her house, which is why someone broke in. Investigators talked to more than 50 people, but none of them gave them any new information about the case. Without any clues or leads, the case went cold quickly, and it looked like the cops might never find out who did it. Her family talked to the media often to keep the story living and in the public's mind. The police in Pembroke also kept looking into the case. In 2019, when it was 35 years since Virginia's death, investigators held a vigil. With improvements in technology, they also found that the DNA samples they took from the crime scene all came from the same person. The only thing they knew for sure was that the DNA belonged to a man, but they didn't know who it belonged to. Using forensic genealogy, they tried to find the suspect, but it didn't work because there was nothing to match it to, so Virginia's case was put on hold again. The person who killed Virginia wasn't known until February 4, 2020, when someone called the Pembroke Police Department. The person told the cops that his friend, Jesse Aylward, had told him that he killed Virginia Hannon in Pembroke in 1984. Police found out that Jesse Aylward, who was 58 years old, had died the day before, on February 3, 2020. With this knowledge, the police were able to get a warrant, find Aylward's body at Brockton Hospital, and take a blood sample. After that, they found that 3 pieces of evidence found at the crime scene matched his DNA. The nylon stockings used to choke Virginia, the broken glass, and the bloody paper towels were the 3 pieces of proof. Virginia died when Jesse was about 22 years old. In March 2021, the information was made public by the Office of the District Attorney in Plymouth. Most likely, Virginia didn't know him, so she wouldn't let him into her house. But the police did find out that Jesse and Virginia did not know each other. He had lived near her house at the time of the murder. Even though Aylward had been in trouble with the law before and had done some violent things, the cops did not suspect him at first. The victim's family was very upset, so they thanked the cops for their hard work, but they said the news was bittersweet because the suspect had already died. "I'm so glad they finally have someone," said Judy Hannon. "Would I want him to be put in handcuffs? Yes, because he deserves that." Given how far investigative science has come, this case does give hope to many people whose loved ones have been missing for a long time. These technologies could help solve a lot of mysteries from the past that hasn't been answered yet. How did you feel about this case? What do you think of the police's first look into the case? We'd love to hear what you think in the comments.